Right now on Morning News Now, a presidential push. Less than 100 days until the election. Vice President Kamala Harris now closing the gap with former President Donald Trump as some high-profile governors and potential running mates now campaigning for her.
Let's wake up in November and say the words, Madam President.
Kamala Harris's name is going to be on that ballot. And I, for one, am going to be pushing that button for Kamala Harris.
And the field of those possible VP picks is narrowing after one shortlister withdraws from consideration. Meanwhile, Trump running mate J.D. Vance facing the fallout over his remarks about childless women. We have team coverage from the campaign trail. And developing this morning, wildfires consuming hundreds of thousands of acres, burning out of control across California. We're tracking the conditions, the dangers, and when firefighters could see some relief. Plus, renewed fears of a widening war. This morning, Israeli officials authorizing the prime minister's plans to retaliate after that weekend rocket attack that killed 12 children. We'll bring you the latest. And Team USA looking golden as day 4 of the Summer Olympics gets underway. The men's gymnastics team celebrating the end of a 16-year medal drought with a bronze, while the fencing team makes history with back-to-back golds. We'll take you to Paris for all that excitement. And good morning. I'm Stephen Romo in for Joe and Savannah today. And we do begin this morning with the race for the White House. We are now exactly 14 weeks away from Election Day. Vice President Harris is heading to the battleground state of Georgia today to meet with supporters. Now, this comes as her field of potential running mates is beginning to dwindle down. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper has informed the Harris campaign he doesn't want to be considered for the VP role anymore. Meanwhile, Michigan's Governor Gretchen Whitmer says she's not a part of the vetting process.
I have communicated with everyone, including the campaign, that I've made a commitment to serve out my term as governor in Michigan. I can be an excellent ally to a President Harris, and I can be a great co-chair of the Harris campaign from my place as governor. So I am not a part of the vetting.
Well, as for the Trump campaign, the former president was asked to clarify comments he made at a rally last week when he told supporters that they, quote, won't have to vote anymore if he wins in November. In an interview with Fox News, Mr. Trump claiming Christians are not known to be a large voting group. A spokesperson for the Trump campaign previously told NBC the former president was talking about the importance of faith. Well, we have team coverage this morning, including more on that narrowing pool of prospective running mates for Vice President Harris. But let's begin with NBC's Bree Jackson from Washington with the latest on the campaign. Bree, good morning to you.
Good morning, Stephen. So several Democratic vice presidential contenders are hitting the campaign trail, seeking to draw a staunch contrast between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, one potential VP pick, he's withdrawing from the field. Vice President Kamala Harris's list of potential running mates narrowing. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper pulling his name out of consideration Monday, while President Biden remains tight-lipped about the decision. The president continues to voice his support for Harris's presidential bid, touting the accomplishments they made together in the White House.
I've made clear how I feel about Kamala, and she's been an incredible partner to me, a champion of civil rights throughout her career.
Former President Trump has criticized Harris on immigration and her record on crime.
She was a bad prosecutor. She was a prosecutor of black people.
The former president will attend the National Association of Black Journalists Convention Wednesday as he seeks to connect with black voters.
When Donald Trump was president, we were all doing a lot better financially. He's always been a business icon, so why wouldn't we want that business icon to be president?
Harris has been building momentum and energizing the Democratic base.
I think there's this electric energy. People are really enthusiastic.
Really, like, the tides have turned, and I'm really excited for the first time in a long time about how the election is going.
Less than 100 days until voters head to the polls. And the Harris campaign is expected to choose a running mate by August 7th. Stephen, we're all keeping a close eye on that.
Lots of changes keep happening. Bree, thanks so much. All right, let's bring in NBC News campaign embed Nnamdi Egwuonwu. Good morning to you. And let's start with Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina reportedly backing out of consideration to be running mate to Harris. What do we know about that decision and why he announced it?
Yeah, that's a decision that we heard last night from the governor, who was considered to be one of the front runners in the race for VP. We did a count, an NBC News analysis of the vice president contenders that have been with Harris the most, and he actually was at the top of that list. They do have a pretty good relationship, but Cooper himself saying in a statement that now is simply not the right time for him to leave North Carolina and be on the national ticket. That's for the reason why there are a couple concerns. One, we've heard that there is a quirk in the North Carolina state law that means that if he left, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson may be able to rise to that top spot, and there were some concerns there about him potentially taking over in Cooper's absence. There are other reports that say Cooper just wasn't all that interested because of a possible future Senate run. But one thing that is clear is that Cooper himself says he will continue to advocate for Harris, do what he can to get her elected. And we saw evidence of that at least last night. He did join a White Dudes for Harris Zoom call that had a high number of high-profile surrogates and celebrities, and was able to raise, according to organizers, more than $3 million. So he still is using his name power to help the Harris campaign.
And that was actually the name of the call, White Dudes for Harris. Yeah, that's not a mistake. And it's not just Cooper. We also know that Michigan's Governor Gretchen Whitmer also telling Morning Joe that she's just not being considered. She's not in the vetting process right now. We know she's also taken part in that rally with Pennsylvania's Governor Josh Shapiro yesterday, also supporting Harris. And of course, Pennsylvania helped push Biden over the top in 2020. So is Governor Shapiro, is he now sort of considered the front runner in the Veep stakes?
Well, certainly. He's definitely considered among the leading frontrunners right now. Like you mentioned, Pennsylvania is a top battleground, one that is crucial for the path to victory for the Harris campaign. And it doesn't hurt that he is a very popular governor in that battleground state. That he was with Whitmer over the weekend, and he turned out about 1,000 people to a campaign rally for Harris, many of whom told our reporters there that they were intrigued by the idea of him possibly serving alongside Harris. So he is up there, but we do know there are some other names that are still in active consideration. There's Mark Kelly out in Arizona, who's still considered a pretty top prospect. And we also know that there are newer faces that we now know are in the vetting process, whether that's Tim Walz in Minnesota or even Governor J.B. Pritzker in Illinois. So I've talked to some campaign officials that says until that August 7th deadline, names are still being considered, and that we may not know until a couple days before.
Wow, I can't imagine waiting for that call, and also how important Pennsylvania actually is in this whole process. But not just Pennsylvania. I want to talk about Kentucky. I've been a little surprised that Governor Andy Beshear hasn't had more attention in the Veep stakes. Of course, he's been mentioned a lot, but now we have this new reporting about his being scrutinized for his abortion record in the state. Of course, that state was carried by Donald Trump by more than 20 points back in 2020. So walk us through these criticisms, though, of Beshear.
Yeah, Governor Andy Beshear has emerged at least as another vice presidential contender, largely due to the fact that he is in a red state that Donald Trump picked up by 20 points, but is popular and has been elected twice now by larger margins in each race. You see the benefit of having someone like Beshear. Over the weekend, the campaign had him go out to Forsyth County, Georgia, which is a pretty Republican, conservative-leaning, predominantly white area. And he went and was able to turn out hundreds of voters and speak to them and advocate on behalf of the campaign. But as you did mention, there were some reports that there were those in his state that felt he didn't do enough as governor to fight some state restrictions on abortion. His running mate considers her as someone who's a Democrat, but describes herself as a pro-life Democrat. So there were some concerns over that, and just some concerns that even in his own re-election campaign, he was fickle with how much he wanted to lean into the pro-abortion messaging. I actually asked Cooper about some of these concerns when he was in Forsyth County here in Georgia, and take a listen to how he defended himself against this attack.
Well, I'm the first Democrat in Kentucky that has ever run an abortion ad during an election. I've vetoed 5 separate anti-choice bills. I've stood up every single time knowing that it would be one of the #1 attacks on me. I think I've been as strong as anybody out there on choice. It's a lot harder in Kentucky to do it, and I've still stood up and done it every time.
So that's how you hear the governor himself defend his record on abortion. But, this is a campaign of reproductive rights is going to play a huge issue. It's one that Vice President Harris has long been very vocal about and is considered a champion on the issue. So those concerns from abortion advocates in his state could certainly play a part in deciding how likely he is to become that running mate.
And just more than a week now, we'll see how this all plays into that VP pick. Nnamdi Egwuonwu, thanks so much. Well, this morning, Ohio Senator and current Republican vice presidential contender J.D. Vance is under fire for resurfaced comments seeming to imply that people without children should not hold office. NBC News White House correspondent Ali Rafa has a look at how he's responding and the way Democrats are using those remarks to attack the GOP ticket.
God bless you guys.
Former President Trump's vice presidential nominee, J.D. Vance, at the center of a political firestorm over these resurfaced comments made in 2021.
Is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies.
Vance seeming to imply that people without children shouldn't be in government.
You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children.
Those claims sparking fierce backlash. Democrats opening up a new attack line on the GOP ticket, branding the newly minted pairing weird.
It's not just a weird style that he brings. It's that this leads to weird policies.
It is bizarre. It's weird. It is weird.
Even Friends star Jennifer Aniston, who's spoken publicly about her struggles with infertility, writing on Instagram, Mr. Vance, I pray that your daughter is fortunate enough to bear children of her own one day. Vance initially offering this scathing reply.
First of all, that's disgusting because my daughter is 2 years old. And second of all, if she had fertility problems, as I said in that speech, I would try everything I could to try to help her because I believe families and babies are a good thing. Obviously, it was a sarcastic comment. I've got nothing against cats.
Vance confronted about the issue again on Fox News.
Do you agree that there are people who very much love this country and are invested in its future, but they also happen to be childless?
Oh, of course I believe that, Trey. And if you look at the full context of what I said, it's very clear the Democrats have tried to take this thing out of context. It's the fact that the Democratic Party has become explicitly anti-family in some of their policies.
Vance's time as Trump's running mate so far, not always going as planned, including this awkward joke about soda that some say landed a little flat.
Well, they say it's racist to do anything. I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday and one today. I'm sure they're going to call that racist too, but it's good.
Trump's critics now questioning Vance's value to the now three-time GOP nominee.
Does he keep Vance on the ticket? Where he already has a whole lot of baggage. He's probably going to be more baggage over the weeks because we'll hear more things about him. Or does he pick someone new? It's his choice.
And our thanks to Ali Rafa for that report. And despite these bumps in the road, former President Trump has so far ignored the growing criticism of his choice and is standing by J.D. Vance, continuing to call him a great pick. Well, this morning, we're expected to learn more about the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. In just a few hours, Senate lawmakers are expected to question the acting director of the Secret Service about law enforcement lapses in the hours leading up to the shooting. Now, this comes as the FBI announced the former president has agreed to participate in an interview. They call it a victim interview with that agency. NBC News senior congressional reporter Scott Wong joins us now with more on this. So, Scott, that hearing today, it comes after the former director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, she resigned following that grilling by both parties last week. She was declining to answer what seemed like some very basic questions about the assassination attempt. Are we expecting to see more of that today?
Good morning, Stephen. You know, this is a rare joint hearing between the Senate Homeland Security Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee. It is being portrayed as bipartisan. Staff members from those committees have just returned themselves from Butler, Pennsylvania, the site of the assassination attempt, to gather more information to better inform their questioning of the FBI and Secret Service today. And so, you know, it remains to be seen whether this is going to be more of the same. I do think that the resignation of Cheadle last week was sort of like a release of a pressure valve on Capitol Hill. It did sort of alleviate some of the anger and frustration at Cheadle not accepting responsibility. Now that that has happened, I think the focus of this hearing will be more on the substance and less of the theater. And so a lot of questions still remain. The senators are going to hit on those topics, including how was the shooter able to get a gun onto the premises? But, you know, there are multiple investigations going on. And we also learned a new development just yesterday on the House investigation side, where Mike Johnson and Hakeem Jeffries have appointed members of their special task force, a bipartisan task force that is also looking into this assassination attempt.
Hopefully with all that, we'll be able to get some answers on this, Scott. And we also want to talk about that interview set to happen between Trump and the FBI. A lot of interest in that. What do we know about it, and what are investigators hoping to learn from him?
This is pretty standard, in fact, that the victim of this incident or any incident would be interviewed. The FBI and Secret Service, of course, are interviewing everybody who was at the actual shooting. They've interviewed already hundreds of people. But former President Trump had a unique vantage point, of course. They want to know, you know, why he reacted in a certain way. When he went down and hit the deck, what were the conversations that were happening? We could hear sort of being picked up on the microphone, some of those conversations and interactions between Secret Service agents that rushed to assist the former president. And we heard directions being given. I think investigators want to know whether there was consistency between what the Secret Service agents were telling investigators and what President Trump later this week, in fact, on Thursday, will be telling investigators. He acknowledged in an interview yesterday that he will sit for this interview on Thursday, 2 days from now.
All right, more to come there. Scott Wong, thanks so much. And turning now to California, as fire crews are battling one of the largest wildfires in the state's history. The so-called Park Fire now covers nearly 380,000 acres, and it is still growing at a rapid pace. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson is in Chico, California, and joins us now with the latest. Steve, good morning to you. So this fire just really exploded in size. What are we hearing about how much larger it could be expected to grow? And our crews, are they getting any sort of handle on it?
Well, yeah, look, Stephen, it's enormous. And the thing that was so stunning about it was the rate in which it's growing. We're not even a week into the fire, and more than 370,000 acres already. It's sixth largest wildfire in California history. A lot of people are saying by the time it's all said and done, could be fifth, could be fourth. It could certainly grow that much. But firefighters are doing a really good job with sort of securing areas that are population centers and slowing that growth. Over the last 3, 4, maybe even 5 days now, the weather has dipped down. It's been cooling, allowing firefighters to get more of an upper hand, right? So they've made significant progress on containment, now 14%, putting a perimeter around the fire. So essentially the zones behind that perimeter are now safe. To be able to say that and say that to residents who want to get back into their homes, I think is especially good for people who want to know what's going on. And we're hearing that evacuation orders may start lifting as early as today. Hard to square that in your head with the fact that this fire is now larger than the city of Los Angeles, but certain parts of the fire zone are going to start being able to be inhabitable again. So that's sort of the situation. In the fire, though, it's a fire. I mean, fire behavior can change with the wind. There's more hot, dry weather in the forecast. If the wind shifts, if it gets any hotter, if it pushes in a new direction, a pocket of embers moves, you got a whole new front to this thing. Stephen?
Well, it is hard to grasp when you're talking about a size of a fire like that. And in regards to the cause of this, I know a California man facing arson charges in connection with that fire. Yesterday, Ronnie Dean Stout made his first court appearance, rather. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Ronnie Dean Stout, the second, made his first court appearance, as you mentioned. His second will be on Thursday. Well, he'll be arraigned on brought up on those charges. We know that there are going to be federal charges for arson. What we don't know exactly is if they will be of the reckless variety or intentional, which will sort of set some of the sentencing guidelines. We do know what he's accused of. Apparently, witnesses say they just saw this guy get in his car, put something in his car. All of a sudden, the car is on fire, and he's pushing it into a gully that ostensibly starts a fire, which is now, again, larger than the size of a large American city. So obviously, you know, the district attorney says he wants to push for those federal arson charges, and we'll just have to see sort of how that shakes out. But there will be enhancements on top of those based on what happens with the fire. That always happens in sort of a criminal investigation on a fire. So if they find people have died, if they find more property has been destroyed, that will all be sort of added on to the charges that he's already facing. Stephen.
Certainly hope things get under control there. Steve Patterson, thanks so much. All right, now let's get to NBC News meteorologist Angie Lassman. She's keeping a close eye on those fire threats and that smoke situation across the country. Hey, Angie.
Hey there. We continue to see the conditions really just ripe for more of these fires to spark and spread. Stephen, here's what's going on. We still have these red flag warnings. They're not necessarily up for places like California, Oregon, Washington, where we have plenty of fires burning, but they are still in effect for some other spots across mainly the Four Corners region. But notice Casper, Craig, Park City, some of those main cities that are included in this, with our winds still elevated, our humidity levels still down, and those temperatures still elevated as well. So we're going to watch for these conditions to last through the day today. On top of that, with all of those fires already burning, plenty of unhealthy air around. We've got 9 million people under air quality alerts of some sort. So where you see this kind of darker shade of brown, tannish, that's the air quality advisories that are in effect. It does include Boise. Notice it goes into parts of Oregon, Washington. This gray color that you see here in parts of northwestern Nevada and northeastern California, that's a dense smoke advisory. Of course, no surprise, we've got plenty of that smoke that's going to be on the move here over the next day or so. And it's not just confined to that area, but if you live in those areas where we see the alerts right now, that's where we're concerned, especially if you have respiratory issues for any breathing conditions here later today. Notice what happens, though, as the day goes on. That wildfire smoke is going to move into parts of the Midwest and the northern plains. So heads up for folks there. You might notice it's a little hazy in some of those skies overhead. Now, satellite and radar picking up some rain across parts of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, parts of the Great Lakes as well. And we've got a cold front that's going to be on the move, and it kind of leaves us unsettled across those regions, but also from basically Maine to Florida, we'll still see some scattered showers and thunderstorms through the day today. And tomorrow, unfortunately, more rain in the forecast across the Mid-Atlantic and the New England. The good news for tomorrow is the severe risk is low. That's not the case for today, though. We've got this lasting through tonight. Our biggest impacts look to be the threat of some strong winds. So 70, 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts will be possible. But notice there's a good chunk of the country that's included in that. 18 million people from Omaha to Nashville, Stephen. This is going to be something we'll watch. And on top of that, some heavy rain across that region, too. So flash flooding will also be an issue.
Severe weather season. Have you seen Twisters yet?
Okay, I'm such a disappointment to meteorologists everywhere. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm so busy, but I got to get. Have you?
I have not, but I'm not a meteorologist. So
but you're married to him.
I am married to a meteorologist.
So,
I made him watch the original, so I should get credit for that.
You should. We'll give you that.
Okay, all right. You'll have to go see it. All right, thanks, Angie. Well, turning now to the Middle East, where there's even more turmoil. The United States saying it's trying to stop an even broader conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. It's due to Saturday's rocket strike that killed 12 children from the Arab Druze community in the Golan Heights. Now, it's a territory most of the international community views as being under Israeli occupation, although the United States did recognize Israeli sovereignty there back in 2019. Yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited the scene of the strike, which Israel says Hezbollah is to blame for. The militant group, though, denying responsibility. Netanyahu was met with some angry protesters from that community. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now from Tel Aviv with more. So, Raf, a lot of anger being aimed at Netanyahu over how this was able to happen. Folks asking why the rocket wasn't intercepted by the Iron Dome. What do we know about that? Is that something that's being looked into?
Yeah, it is, Stephen. The Israeli military says they are investigating how it is that rocket got through, that it wasn't intercepted. They are saying that Israel's air defenses, probably some of the most sophisticated in the world, but they are not 100% hermetic, not 100% foolproof. That rocket getting through in the Golan Heights, we saw a drone from Yemen getting through in Tel Aviv the other week. So they can't shoot down everything all of the time is basically their message. And one of the things that makes it complicated up on the Golan is because you are so close to southern Lebanon right there. Residents only have 12 seconds sometimes to run to bomb shelters. We do know the sirens went off, but that Iron Dome failed to intercept. And as you mentioned, Prime Minister Netanyahu visiting the scene yesterday was met by a large and angry crowd, people calling him a killer and saying his government should have done more to keep their children safe. Stephen.
Wow. Well, talk to us about these U.S.-led efforts, Raf, to try to contain that conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. We know Israel has been bombing southern Lebanon, trying to get to them. So how likely is it that Israel could turn its targets toward the capital there in Lebanon, Beirut?
Well, that's the big question. It's something Israel has not done over the 9.5 months that it has been fighting Hezbollah over its northern border. But Prime Minister Netanyahu is saying that the response will be unprecedented. It will be unlike what we have seen so far. This was a major attack. Israel says it's the worst attack on its civilians since October 7th. You have 12 dead children. And Netanyahu is under intense pressure from the far right of his government to respond in a major way, potentially including attacking Beirut. Now, the U.S. is saying it supports Israel's right to defend itself, but it is counseling restraint. It does not want to see an all-out conflict erupting. And it was interesting, the spokesman for the National Security Council, John Kirby, speaking to reporters yesterday, says at this point, the U.S. believes that predictions of all-out war between Israel and Hezbollah are exaggerated, and that the U.S. is confident that a diplomatic solution can be reached. That is not a level of confidence that's shared across the region. Stephen.
Certainly not. And we've already seen fallout extending beyond the region, with airlines canceling some of its flights to Lebanon. Some countries also urging their citizens just to leave. How is Lebanon itself reacting, and what are they saying about this potential for an escalation?
Yeah, so the UK and other countries are giving their nationals a pretty stark message. Get out of Lebanon and do it now. That is not a message that the United States government is sending to Americans in Lebanon, at least not at this stage. But as you mentioned, flights are canceled. It is getting more and more complicated to get both in and out of the country. Now, we did hear from Lebanon's foreign minister, who is saying he hopes it'll be possible to avoid all-out war. Take a listen.
We think that there would be a little bit of escalation, but not that big, because the Israelis themselves are going to be hit. And if they go against Lebanon, it's going to be a big war. And they know that. And I don't think they want to do it.
So at this point, people all across the Middle East holding their breath, waiting to see when, where, and at what scale Israel will respond. Stephen?
Tensions remain. All right, Raf Sanchez, thanks so much. And there is much more to come on Morning News Now. Later this hour, they're flippin' incredible. Team USA meeting the moment in men's gymnastics and ending a 16-year medal drought. We'll take you to Paris for all that excitement. Up first, after the break, though, tragedy in the UK. At least 2 children killed in a stabbing attack at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class. We'll have the latest, plus reaction from the star. That's next. We're back now with the latest on a deadly stabbing attack at a Taylor Swift-themed kids dance event. 2 children are dead, 9 others are hurt after the attack in northern England. Police say a teenager is now in custody. NBC News Chief Foreign Correspondent Richard Engel has those details.
When parents worry about a senseless attack, this is what they fear. Around noon in Southport, in northern England near Liverpool, an assailant walked into a dance and yoga studio and began stabbing children. It was during a sold-out Taylor Swift-themed class for 6 to 11-year-olds. Witnesses saw bloody children being taken out. One describing it like a horror movie.
2 children have died as a result of the injuries sustained in this morning's knife attack. 9 other children have been injured, and 6 of them are in a critical condition.
The suspect was only identified by police as a 17-year-old male from a nearby town.
I'm still shaking. I can't think what is happening because I think it's shocking everyone.
No motive was given, it's not being investigated as terrorism. No other suspects are being sought.
Our thoughts and condolences with the victims, their families, their friends and the wider community. And it's almost impossible to imagine the grief that they're going through and the trauma that they're going through.
Just awful. And our thanks to Richard Engel for that report. And in just the last few hours, Swift has responded to that attack on Instagram, writing, quote, "These were just little kids at a dance class. I am at a complete loss for how to ever convey my sympathies to these families." All right, more international news now. This morning, rescue teams are on the move after heavy rains triggered deadly landslides in southern India. NBC News international correspondent Megan Fitzgerald joins us with that and other world headlines. Good morning, Megan.
Stephen, good morning to you. That's right, we start in India. That landslide killed at least 70 people in the southern coastal city of Kerala, but that death toll is expected to rise. To make things even more devastating, rescue workers have been having trouble getting to the scene because roads have been washed away and bridges collapsed. The government says they're doing the best they can to try and get choppers operating in the region to try and rescue people, but they're dealing with bad weather. And in Venezuela, in the midst of thousands of people protesting after a disputed presidential election, President Maduro's opponent, Edmundo Gonzalez, says his campaign has the proof they need to show that Gonzalez is the one who won the election. The campaign says they obtained more than 70% of the tally sheets, which shows he has more than double the votes of Maduro. Now, several foreign governments, including the U.S. and the EU, have held off on recognizing the results of the election. Okay, now for champagne lovers, we got one for you. Divers found over 100, or at least nearly 100 bottles of 19th century champagne in the bottom of the Baltic Sea at a site of a shipwreck. Now, researchers think that this ship could have been headed to Russia to deliver the goods to Tsar Alexander II. Of course, the obvious question here, of course, can you drink the champagne? So, according to a master sommelier, so long as the cork wasn't impacted by the seawater, it should be pretty good. And I mean, I wouldn't mind trying a bottle of that, 19th century.
Something good to celebrate. Maybe the Olympics. I can't imagine the price tag for it, but
yeah, right.
Sounds like some fun. Megan, thanks so much. Well, coming up, new developments in the fight for abortion rights in America. When we come back, we'll take you to Iowa, where a near total ban just got underway. Plus, a shared struggle for busy moms. We'll explain why women often carry the load at home and how the rest of the family can pitch in to help out. Our weekly check-in is next here on Morning News Now. Welcome back. Iowa is now the fourth state banning almost all abortions after 6 weeks. A new law took effect yesterday, nearly 1 month after the state's Supreme Court ruled there is no constitutional right to the procedure. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett spoke to an OBGYN in Iowa about the impact this could have on maternal health.
A new reality in Iowa. Nearly all abortions now banned, making the Midwest state just the latest to fan the flames of a political fire burning over reproductive rights heading into November. A divided state Supreme Court recently upholding the law that bans abortions in most cases once any fetal cardiac activity is detected, which can be as early as 6 weeks of pregnancy. Governor Kim Reynolds applauding the court for upholding the will of the people. The law includes some limited exceptions, allowing abortions in cases where fetal abnormalities are, quote, incompatible with life, a standard doctors say is less than clear.
Does that mean that an infant after birth would die within hours, within days, within months, or have a shortened life?
Dr. Emily Bavers, the only full-time OBGYN in her rural county, says she worries that laws like this one tie physicians' hands in dangerous ways when medical complications arise.
We know that there are a number of things that can go really wrong. These are all things that are more nuanced than what our legislature can put on paper. There's a lot of kind of psychological dread, I would say, right now.
Iowa, now one of at least 4 states banning abortions once any fetal cardiac activity is detected. All this also now front and center on the campaign trail. Vice President Kamala Harris has made abortion access a centerpiece of her platform.
So today, Iowa put in place
a Trump abortion ban, which makes Iowa the 22nd state in our country to have a Trump abortion ban.
Now it's up to the will of the people in each state. It's up to the voters.
Back in Iowa, the focus on the future.
I believe we will see more and more providers leaving these areas. It will inevitably lead to more mothers being lost from their families. That's what keeps me up at night.
Laura Jarrett, NBC News.
All right, time now for our weekly mental health check-in. Starting off with some new numbers revealing how the cost of mental health care is affecting how many Americans are actually seeking the help they need. Plus, a few gold medal health tips from the therapist treating some of our favorite Olympians. To break down all this and more, we're joined by licensed marriage and family therapist, Dr. George James. Dr. James, thanks for being here this morning. And let's jump right into this new study out from Mental Health America. It says 1 in 4 adults in the U.S. who are struggling with their mental health reported that they didn't see a doctor because of how much it cost. So how is cost for this care still such a big issue for us? And for someone who maybe not be able to afford that help, what can they do to try to get some assistance?
Good morning, Stephen. Unfortunately, this has been a problem for a long time where people have not been able to afford therapy because of the cost, because of insurance, because of medical debt that they might have. It's a bigger problem. We need more therapists. We need different services. But one of the ways that people can deal with this is that there are services that will offer therapy for free. Provider, could you readjust the fee? So there are many ways that you can still see a therapist, and I encourage you just to ask the question, and you might be able to see someone maybe even today.
Certainly important there, and hopefully people are able to find that help. Also talking about this next study that has to do with mental health, Dr. James, it reveals how moms are affected mentally when chores are not split evenly at home, and it's all because of something called cognitive labor. So if you could explain to us what that is and why this is such a big issue.
You know, for many household chores are divided, and often moms get the brunt of this. And what cognitive labor is that not only do you have to do something, but you have to think about it. You have to think about what needs to be replenished, what needs to be done, who needs to be picked up. And oftentimes this labor is not shared in the household. Many moms take on this responsibility. And so you can say, like, okay, moms, you can ask for help. That is one way, but that still puts the pressure on mom to figure it out. What we can do is just step up. In my household, it might be I could load the dishwasher so that my wife doesn't have to worry about it. Think about those things that you can do to assist the moms in your household so that they don't have the cognitive load.
So important, and to assist without being asked. Such an important there. And finally, right. Dr. James, wanted to ask one of the psychologists who works with Team USA, giving a sneak peek into some of the mental health tips he shares with these top athletes. This topic has already been a big headline during this year's games. Mental health, thankfully, getting a big focus this year. So help us take home this gold medal, Dr. James, for mental health. What are some of the big takeaways that we might be able to take from this and apply to our own lives?
No, first of all, this to me is like one of those dream jobs. Call me right now. I'll go to Paris. I'll be there to help out the athletes. This is so amazing. While we're seeing elite athletes and we're talking about mental health together, it's so important. We've seen from Simone Biles, Caleb Dressel, Michael Phelps, Simone Manuel, so many athletes have said that they've struggled with mental health, with depression, with twisties, and that they're saying that they need help and support, and that now there are support and people there for them. So cheers to those athletes and all that they're doing to champion mental health.
Yeah, so important. What a good example for all of us, young people and adults alike, to have this in the spotlight. Dr. George James, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, coming up, more on the history in Paris for Team USA. Up next, we'll be joined by fencer Lee Kiefer, now the first American to win back-to-back gold medals in the women's individual foil event. Stay with us. You're watching Morning News Now. We're back now with a guest who'll be going down in Team USA Olympic history. She is the first American fencer to ever win back-to-back gold medals in the women's individual foil event after an almost double-digit win in Sunday's final bout. And she's only the third woman to be a repeat Olympic champ in the event ever. So excited to have Lee Kiefer join us this morning. Lee, first of all, congratulations on your second Olympic gold medal. That is incredible. So you know what it took to win it once. How are you feeling right now? And what was going through your mind when you realized you were going to win gold again?
Oh, man, I was so happy to put on a good performance because unlike Tokyo, my family, my friends, I think maybe a group of 30, 40 people were there to cheer me on. So it felt amazing.
That's incredible. Was it harder the second time around?
In some ways it was harder. I knew I could do it and there were a lot of expectations, but at the end of the day, I'm just going out there touch by touch, bout by bout. So in some ways, not too much of a difference.
Yeah, clearly you had it down. And I know you're not done yet. You're focused on the women's team foil competition. That's coming up on Thursday. Walk us through how you prepare for that, both mentally and physically.
Yeah, my teammates and me, we all just had our last practice about 1 hour ago. We finished that up. We're just trying to get in good spirits, you know, make sure we have all the details locked and loaded about our opponents, and we're just going to show up to the strip on the 1st.
Yeah, we can't wait to see that. We'll definitely be watching. And I understand that you and your husband are both on Team USA. You both competed in the Tokyo Olympics. Now you get to be in Paris together. How does it feel? What's it like getting to experience all this with him?
Oh, we're having the best time exploring the village, seeing our families. I couldn't ask for anything more.
That is perfect. And how are you like in Paris? How does it compare to last time around?
Oh, Paris is amazing. Fencing is held in the Grand Palais, which is a historical, beautiful venue, and I think fencing lucked out.
It is pretty awesome. I was just there and I saw how much everything is locked down. So if you're visiting Paris right now, you got to go again when everything's a little more open. You get to actually experience it, a whole new world. I also understand you started fencing when you were just 5 years old. Super impressive. What inspired you to first get into the sport? And other than winning Olympic gold twice, what has been the best part of your experience competing?
So my dad got me and my siblings into the sport at a young age. They instilled that idea of hard work, and eventually we grew to be competitors, to have artistry in our craft, and I'm the last keeper remaining in the sport. Here we are, 20 plus years later.
Wow, there you are. And certainly knew it was happening. 2 gold medals, hard to beat that. So many young people get inspired by watching the Olympics. To start off, my husband still talks about how he should have been an Olympic swimmer because he was so interested in watching swimming as a young man. What is your biggest piece of advice? What do you tell young athletes who have these Olympic dreams?
Yeah, I tell people that fencing is a sport for everyone. You can have different sized bodies. You can be tall, short, just different builds, and you can find your place. And it's really been a cool journey for myself to discover my own style, and I would love that for any other young athlete.
Such a great message coming from this 2-time gold medalist, Lee Kiefer. Thanks so much for joining us today. Best of luck, and we will certainly be watching on Thursday.
Thank you.
All right, now to some more Olympic news this morning. There's now another American celebrating a fencing medal in Paris. After a suspenseful road to the Final Four, Nick Itkin secured the bronze in the individual foil event on Monday. The #2 ranked men's foil fencer in the world has now medaled in his 2nd straight Olympics. And that was just one of 8 new medals for Team USA on Monday. The men's artistic gymnastics team added to the medal count that lead in a thrilling fashion by also earning a bronze in the final event that came down to the wire. Joining us now from Paris with all the excitement from another Olympics day is NBC's Jay Gray. Jay, good morning to you. So what can you tell us about the men's gymnastics final? We know we got a viral pommel horse hero from it all. Who else won for Team USA?
Isn't that right? I mean, it's an unsuspected and really bonus win for gymnastics. The men going in, getting that bronze. They hadn't been in the medal round in 16 years. And it all came down to that pommel. And you've got Steven Naraskic, who was waiting. And I mean waiting in the sense that he did nothing else all night. He watched everything. He waited. He watched some more. He waited over 2 hours before he gets his one chance to secure the victory for Team USA. He nails it. I mean, he was fantastic. They were all focused. And like I said, they bring home a medal for the first time in over a decade. And hearing from the women's side in gymnastics, and we all know how dominant they are, but they say it gives them a boost seeing their partners come in and do the unexpected. Really neat to see. One of those Olympic stories we all cherish.
Certainly a lot of inspiration there. It was also a good day, Jay, for several other teams. Women's basketball just absolutely dominated as they look to win an 8th straight gold medal. How are they looking?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a good day to be a part of women's USA basketball. They just shellacked Japan. This team, they played in the gold medal final not that long ago. They came in, beat them by 26, 102-76. They're unstoppable right now. They look great. I think they could challenge the men's team. I don't really think that's team, but they look so good at what they're doing, and they are favored to go and win what would be an Olympic record 8th gold medal in a row. I want to ask you something, though. They've won 56 in a row. That was their 56th straight win. Stephen, do you know when they lost last? Do you know what Olympics it was when they lost last?
No, I do not know. Spill it.
Yeah, right? I didn't either until I looked it up. 1992 in Barcelona. They haven't lost a game since 92. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That is amazing. That is incredible. And there's also more, Jay, to get excited about for today. Simone Biles returning to the mat for Team USA. So many eyes on this. Now, a personal question for you, Jay. Just how excited are you for today's lineup?
Oh, I think it's going to be fantastic. You know, the women's team came in, especially Biles, with the idea that this was a redemption tour. They had a chip on their shoulder. We all remember Tokyo didn't go as planned. She got the twisties, and it was just a rough ride. And so now they're back. They were the best team coming out of qualifying, had the highest score. She, as an individual, had the highest score. She looks so locked and focused on all of this. I think we're in for quite a show in just a few hours here. And Stephen, just come in close for a minute. I want don't share this with anybody else. Okay. But this, we've got a sneak peek. We got a sneak peek at the leotard they'll be wearing tonight. This is it. It's called Go for Glory. That's the name of the leotard. And look, if you can get this thing on, you've got no choice but to go for glory. It's designed with the idea that it resembles the 1996 women's leotard. They won the gold medal as well. So this is a tribute to them. It's got just under 10,000 crystals all over the sleeves, all over the back. It's an amazing, really, work of art, and boy, does it shimmer in the summer sun here in Paris. I know that number because, little known trivia fact here, Stephen, I bedazzled this entire thing and did them for the whole team. So I'm a true supporter of Team USA Gymnastics. No, I didn't bedazzle this, but look at it. I mean, it's fantastic.
That is incredible. I won't tell anybody about that, Jay, but I also better not see that on eBay. Impressive stuff there.
The problem is, and I was going to surprise you, it just doesn't fit right. It doesn't fit right, so I didn't wear it.
Next time we'll have to find another size. All right, Jay Gray, thank you so much. Well, coming up this morning, ready to stand again. When we return, we'll take you to Kansas, where a new statue of baseball legend Jackie Robinson is being prepared after the original was stolen and burnt. That's coming up on Morning News Now. Welcome back. It's been 6 months since a statue of baseball pioneer Jackie Robinson was stolen from a city park in Wichita, Kansas. But a new one will rise early next month thanks to some help from a neighboring state. Reporter Derek Liedl from our sister station KSNW has those details.
Carol Parsons' late husband, John, designed the Jackie Robinson statue with the blessing of the Robinson family. She says when it was stolen from McAdams Park, then destroyed, she was unsure they'd ever see her husband's work again.
I can't believe it's here already. It's just gone by, you know, in a whirlwind.
She says it'll make her emotional when she sees the new statue in person for the first time next week.
Oh, yeah. I expect to be. I know it will. So it'll be bittersweet.
A bronze foundry in Colorado, able to use John's mold he left behind to make the replacement statue. The owner, Tony Workman, says the staff that made the original took pride in the countless hours and attention to detail spent on the replacement.
When the piece was cast, almost everybody that worked on it worked on the original. I'm glad we could help and get it back and get their sculpture back to them, and no one will know it was ever gone once it's installed.
An emotional time for League 42 founder Bob Lutz. He says he met with the man who pleaded guilty to the theft and destruction of the League statue. Lutz says it's time to move on.
I hope everybody comes out of this for the better, including the people who committed the crimes. So no anger. I'm past the anger.
He says getting to see his late friend John's work stand as the staple of their league once again will be special.
Wouldn't feel right if we were putting up a different statue by a different sculptor. He poured his heart and soul into this, and now he gets to be rewarded again. So that makes me feel good.
And our thanks to Derek Lytle from our Wichita affiliate for that report. And that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. But your news continues right now. Good morning. I'm Stephen Romo in for Joe and Savannah today. And right now on Morning News Now, political sucker punch, a behind-closed-doors bombshell reported by the Washington Post that former President Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, privately admitted to donors in a new recording how concerned he is about VP Kamala Harris entering the race. It comes as the former president strongly defends his pick for vice president as controversy surges over Vance's past remarks.
He's got tremendous support among a certain group of people that like families.
We've got the latest from the campaign trail this morning as another big political name steps back from the Harris campaign sweepstakes. Also this morning, the growing devastation from one of the largest wildfires in California's history. Hundreds of thousands of acres torched in a matter of days. Dozens of homes reduced to smoldering rubble. We're on the ground with the latest efforts to contain it as harrowing stories of survival are now coming to light. Plus, not loving it? McDonald's reporting a sales slump for the first time in years as hungry customers sound off, fed up with fast food's rising prices. But could that eventually spell good news for your wallet the next time you hit the drive-thru? We'll dig into those numbers. And it's a question that's been on the minds of philosophers and fans alike for decades now. When in our great history will we be able to catch the iconic Flava Flav at the Olympic Games? Well, that question has thankfully been answered this year in Paris, and it comes with a very special new title for Team USA's women's water polo squad. We'll explain coming up later this hour. But we do begin this hour with the race for the White House as frontrunner for the Democratic nomination. Vice President Harris is set to campaign today in Atlanta. Georgia is still a crucial state that Harris is looking to keep blue after Joe Biden narrowly won it back in 2020. Meanwhile, former President Trump is rallying behind his new running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, following controversial comments he's previously made that have now come to light. NBC News senior Washington correspondent and NBC News Now anchor Hallie Jackson has the latest from the campaign trail.
Hey there, good morning to you. Former President Trump now says he will probably end up debating Vice President Harris, although he did not commit to it, as Harris prepares to head to the swing state of Georgia today, getting ready to select a running mate as Mr. Trump now defends his. The presidential race taking shape this morning with Vice President Kamala Harris set to hit the campaign trail and former President Donald Trump in a new interview backing up his new running mate, Senator J.D. Vance.
He's got tremendous support among a certain group of people that like families.
The former president referencing Vance's controversial comments from 2021, critical of Democrats without children.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies.
He's not against anything, but he loves family.
Mr. Trump also insisting that when he told a Christian audience Friday, you don't have to vote again in 4 years, he was not alluding to the end of elections if he wins, as some Democrats have suggested.
I said to the Christians in the room, don't worry about the future. You have to vote on November 5th. After that, you don't have to worry about voting anymore. I don't care, because we're going to fix it. The country will be fixed.
And the former president suggesting he may be ready to debate Vice President Harris.
I want to do a debate, and now people know who she is. She's a radical left lunatic. So the answer is yes, but I can also make a case for not doing it.
Harris has said she's ready to debate Mr. Trump. For her part, the vice president's focusing on reproductive rights, looking to link Mr. Trump to Iowa's new restrictions on abortion after 6 weeks.
Which makes Iowa the 22nd state in our country to have a Trump abortion ban.
Behind closed doors, J.D. Vance telling donors that running against Kamala Harris instead of President Biden was a little bit of a political sucker punch, according to a recording obtained by the Washington Post. Vance adding Kamala is a lot younger and obviously not struggling in the same ways that Joe Biden did. A Vance spokesperson saying Harris's, quote, far left ideas are even more radioactive than Joe Biden. Harris is also set to decide on a running mate by the middle of next week. And this morning, one major contender out. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper withdrawing his name from consideration overnight. So as for where the rest of the Veep stakes stands, top contenders at this point include Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, who rallied for Harris in that key battleground Monday, alongside Michigan's Gretchen Whitmer, who suggested she prefers to stay in the governor's mansion. Also in the VP mix on the Democratic side, Minnesota's Tim Walz, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, obviously a border state. And that is notable since the Trump campaign's been targeting Harris on immigration. They're out this morning with what the campaign calls its first major TV ad buy since Harris entered the race, and it is on that topic of the border and immigration. Back to you.
Changes keep coming. Hallie Jackson, thanks. Well, as we mentioned, Vice President Harris is heading to campaign in Georgia today. And we can't forget how important black voters were in propelling Joe Biden to a win in that state 4 years ago. NBC News Washington correspondent Yamiche Alcindor spoke with a group of black men in Georgia about how the shakeup in this year's election could impact their vote.
In battleground Georgia, black men voters will be critical in the race to the White House.
I liked RFK.
Justin Samuels and Dorian Griffin are both 32-year-old small business owners. Samuels is an independent.
How has Vice President Harris being the top of the ticket impacted the way that you see this election?
Her being at the top of the ticket really made me think about creating another historic moment, not just for the country, but for also the black community as a whole, too. I think there's a lot that she has to prove. There are a lot of men in this country who need to be okay with a woman leading the country.
Griffin is a Republican. He says he's still voting for Trump.
And tell me what appeals to you about Trump.
His business acumen. When Donald Trump was president, we were all doing a lot better financially. He's always been a business icon, so why wouldn't we want that business icon to be president?
And he had this to say about Harris.
I think she hasn't done anything worth mentioning.
What would you have wanted to see Vice President Harris accomplish that she has not?
I would have liked her to kind of bring a calm to the border. The border crisis has gotten out of hand.
In 2020, President Biden narrowly flipped Georgia blue, winning by just under 12,000 votes. Democrat Darius Rawlins says he's excited for Harris.
I've never seen enthusiasm like this fast.
And you had concerns about Vice President Harris's background as a prosecutor. What got you over them?
When I started doing the research, when you see those type of things that aren't often talked about, that resonates with me.
And now all three men are waiting for November's election results. Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News, Atlanta.
Well, this morning in Northern California, one of the largest wildfires in the state's history is still growing at a rapid pace. Devastated families are returning to find homes turned to ash. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson is in Chico, California, and has the latest.
Yeah, this fire will not stop growing. In now less than a week, already 370,000 acres, the largest active wildfire burning across the country, the 6th largest fire in California history.
Firefighters battling the park fire, hoping to take advantage of cooler weather this week to increase containment of this massive blaze. Thousands are under evacuation alerts, dozens of homes destroyed, along with countless close calls.
Family and friends were like, you got to get out of there. I decided to stay. I had a couple of people with me to fight the fire, and we knew it was going to be bad. We just didn't know how bad it was going to be.
The man accused of starting the wildfire appearing in court for the first time, facing felony arson charges. In Central California, the 53,000-acre Burrell fire leveling this historic mining town and nearly trapping 2 Kern County Sheriff deputies.
We appear to be surrounded by fire. 10-4.
Thankfully, the officers survived. In Northern California, much of the burn zone covers areas that have been repeatedly impacted by wildfires, including Paradise, California, where 85 people died in 2018. Amid the devastation, moments of joy. These Rottweiler puppies and their mother, stuck when their owner's truck broke down, were rescued by Butte County sheriffs. A small victory as the war against wildfires rages on.
The good news here is that the weather has been very cooperative for firefighters who are also making progress on the fire containment. Now up to 14%. They're pushing it away from population centers, away from the city of Chico, away from the town of Paradise. But there is more hot, dry weather in the forecast, further elevating the fire danger on an already dangerous firefight. Back to you.
Just incredible size there of that fire. Steve, thanks. And time now for a check of our morning News Now forecast. NBC meteorologist Angie Lastman joins us again. Hey, Angie.
Hey there, Stephen. We've got some rain to talk about. We've, of course, got to deal with that here through the day today as a cold front works its way to the east. And here's some of the spots that we're seeing rain across parts of the Great Lakes. Notice the parts of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley. But we've also got a flash flood emergency happening in parts of Vermont. Caledonia County is where we've seen ample amounts of rain. We're getting reports of washed out roads. So we're concerned about that situation there. That rain is starting to move out, but they really received a lot of rain in a short amount of time. And there's more rain on the way for this general region from the mid-Atlantic to the northeast and down to the south. Basically, Maine to Florida is where we're looking at for some scattered showers and some thunderstorms through the day today. We'll see a couple more of those here across parts of the Midwest as we watch this cold front work its way to the east. As we get into tomorrow, we'll see once again kind of that same unsettled behavior of some of these thunderstorms focused mainly across parts of the New England and mid-Atlantic regions. The good news about tomorrow, severe risk is going to be low, but we'll still have that heavy rain threat, so we'll have to watch for that to impact folks. Today, though, big chunk of the country under the severe risk. We've got 18 million people from Omaha to Des Moines down through St. Louis, Nashville included in this, and extending a little farther to the north and including parts of the northern plains, too. The biggest thing that you should be concerned about is those strong winds. That's our main threat. That's what we're watching for, the greatest chance of happening. Those wind gusts over 75 miles per hour, but not going to rule out a little bit of hail, potentially an isolated tornado or two. But again, the heavy rain will be there. Notice where we have that slight risk of flash flooding through the day today from Des Moines to Knoxville, Chattanooga, Nashville, some of those same areas that could see some of those stronger thunderstorms develop as well. Anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches of rain, but upwards of 3 inches in some of these more isolated spots is what we're watching for. Meanwhile, have you forgot about the tropics? It's been a little quiet for an extended period of time, but we are far from done with this season. It is far from over. We've got a long way to go all the way into November. And we have a 60% chance of this kind of tropical depression potentially developing by the end of the week. There's still a lot of factors with this, so we're not going to pay too much attention to exactly how this plays out down the line, but we're going to keep a close eye on it. Notice where we're looking at the development zone across parts of the Caribbean and off the coast of Florida potentially here as we get through the next week or so. Meanwhile, the Olympics, that has been, I think, what everybody's been focusing on, but look at these temperatures in Paris today, 100 degrees. We're talking extreme heat. This is going to be something that likely will impact some sports. We've got volleyball going on, of course, equestrian, all those outdoor activities, likely going to see some really warm temperatures. Feels like temperatures about 110. Those late afternoon showers and thunderstorms will be out there as well, and those could last into the evening. And when we look ahead to the next 7 days there, things do get better. We'll actually see temperatures getting back to closer, near average kind of range as we get through the rest of the week, Stephen. But Thursday and Friday, we'll finally get rid of the rain and we'll have a little more sunshine for folks that are competing and for folks that are enjoying the Olympics there.
Hopefully they held on to those clear ponchos they were all wearing during the opening ceremonies.
That's a good point.
There
They'll
were
need it
so
today.
many of those. All right, Angie, thanks so much. Okay, turning now to the Middle East, where diplomatic efforts are intensifying there to try to de-escalate tensions between Israel and Hezbollah. Lebanon is on edge after Israel said it would respond to a rocket strike on the Israel-controlled Golan Heights that killed 12 young people. NBC's international correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now from Tel Aviv with more on this. So, Raf, what's the latest on this ongoing effort we've heard about to try to stop the conflict from spreading deeper into Lebanon? And how likely is this major Israeli attack now?
So, Stephen, we saw Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu up on the Golan Heights yesterday. He went to visit that soccer field where those 12 kids were killed in what Israel says was a rocket strike carried out by Iranian-backed Hezbollah militants. And the Prime Minister vowed that there will be a severe response. Now, we don't yet know what that looks like, but one of the big questions is, will Netanyahu give the Israeli military the order to attack Beirut, the capital of Lebanon? That is something he has refrained from doing over these last 9.5 months of war, but he is under major pressure from the far right of his government to respond in a significant way. Now, the United States is saying it supports Israel's right to retaliate, but it is also counseling restraint. And we know that it has been sort of acting as a go-between in the Israeli government, the Lebanese government, which don't have any diplomatic relations, and then by extension Hezbollah, trying to make sure that we don't end up in a cycle of escalation that leads to all-out war. Stephen.
Well, Ralph, wanted to ask you about another big story out of Israel that we're following. We understand 9 Israeli soldiers suspected of severely abusing a Palestinian prisoner will be in court today, but their arrest yesterday prompted this backlash from protesters storming 2 military bases in response. So walk us through what happened there and these accusations against the soldiers.
Yeah, this was a spasm of political mob violence, which has stunned many liberal Israelis. So here's what happened. Yesterday, military police showed up at a really notorious Israeli detention center where Palestinian prisoners from Gaza are being held. It's a center where there have long been allegations of torture by Israeli authorities, and those military police arrested 9 soldiers who were suspected of having been involved in the torture, in the serious abuse of one Palestinian detainee. Now, shortly after that, you saw this mob of right-wing activists led by some Israeli members of parliament, and they stormed through the gates of that facility. And then a couple of hours later, the exact same thing happened. This time they were storming into an Israeli army base where those soldiers were being detained. Now, this has led to widespread condemnation from Israeli political leaders, and we saw the chief of staff, the head of the Israeli military, saying that this is borderline anarchy. But there are a lot of questions today about the behavior of the Israeli police, who did not stop the mob from storming into these bases. They don't appear at this point to have carried out any arrests. And Israel's own defense minister is questioning whether the far-right national security minister, who is in charge of the police, gave them a specific order not to intervene in this situation. It's a serious allegation. It's one that the national security minister is denying. But this is a stunned Israel today, and it is bringing renewed focus on allegations that Israeli forces may have been torturing some of these detainees. Stephen.
Awful allegations there. A lot of moving parts in the region. Raf, also wanted to ask you about Gaza and the humanitarian situation there worsening yet again. The health ministry there declaring a polio epidemic. The World Health Organization says that they need a ceasefire to go in and vaccinate children. Tell us about that, and is there any update on a potential ceasefire?
Yeah, Stephen, polio, a disease from the early 20th century. It is largely stamped out across much of the planet, and it appears, according to the World Health Organization, to have broken out in Gaza because the healthcare system has basically completely collapsed. Kids have not been getting vaccinations now in 9.5 months. At this point, polio has been detected in wastewater. We haven't yet seen it in any active patients. but it is raising a lot of concern about the healthcare system in devastated Gaza. In terms of the possibility of a ceasefire, the Biden administration had been sounding more hopeful about sealing a deal. We know the CIA director was in Rome over the weekend. He was meeting with Israeli, Egyptian, and Qatari counterparts. Israel and Hamas are still kind of blaming each other for the fact that we haven't reached a deal yet. They're each accusing the other of trying to make last-minute changes, and all of this more complicated by those tensions between Israel and Hezbollah. Stephen.
Certainly so. All right, Raph, thanks so much for those updates. And we've got much more to come this hour on Morning News Now, including the very latest out of Paris, an Olympic race in the storied River Seine postponed over water quality concerns, how officials and athletes alike are reacting to this unfortunate delay. Plus, the GOAT herself, Simone Biles, set to go for gold a little later today. We're covering it all coming up next. Welcome back. It was another day of finishing on the podium for Team USA, which still leads the medal count at this year's Summer Olympics. The United States ended the day with 8 new medals. That includes Jagger Eaton, who was just 0.1 away from winning the gold in men's skateboarding. Fellow American Nyjah Huston finished right behind him for the bronze as well. NBC News correspondent Jay Gray is live in Paris with us for all of those headlines coming out of today's Olympic events, which are already underway there in Paris. Jay, good morning to you. It's also a historic day for Team USA's male gymnasts who won their first medal in the team event since 2008. And we're also in luck because we get to see the women's team perform today. What can you tell us about the excitement around these two teams?
No, it's incredible. And the men, a bit of a surprise. You know, we talked about them going in and getting to the medal round. They hadn't done that in over a decade. And then to come out with the bronze. First time in 16 years that this team has medaled. Just so happy for this great group of guys. They've worked so hard for so many years. And it was really amazing to see how focused they were, how dedicated they were to this. And the women's team taking a little bit from that as well. They go into the team finals this evening. They came out of qualifying as the #1 team. Simone Biles, what do you say? I mean, she's unbelievable. She scored more points than any other gymnast. And hey, Joe, we've got a little sneak peek at something here. Don't tell anybody else. I don't want this to get around. But this is actually the leotard that the team's going to wear this evening. It's called Go for Glory. It's amazing. It's made in the likeness of and as a tribute to the '92 Olympic team. They had a similar leotard. They won the gold medal. The difference here is it's got all of these crystals, almost 10,000 of them. And I know that number, Joe, because I bedazzled this myself. What do you think? No, actually, I did not. But it's quite a leotard, and this is what they'll be wearing in just a couple of hours. Should be interesting to see how they do. They're a powerhouse team.
I'm going to send you a suit jacket to bedazzle next, Jay. That's my goal. I'll ship it to Paris. Jay, I also wanted to ask you, I'm very proud of this. Team USA still leading all nations in the medal count. So who else added to that list on Monday? Where do things stand?
You know, the big climber in that race for the most medals was France, the home country. They really jumped up, and they're now second behind Team USA. So let's go over it. Team USA with 20 medals total. A little lacking in the gold area, 3 right now, but we got a lot of chances this evening, including that women's gymnastics team event, to get some more gold. 8 silvers, 9 bronze for Team USA. France with 5 golds, 8 silvers, and 3 bronze, so 16. So we got a 4 medal lead right now, and it wraps up with Japan, China, Great Britain at 12, 12, and 10. So a significant lead on the others in this chart, but France, the home country, which is getting obviously a ton of support here. They really made some headway yesterday, and so we've got to get on it today.
That makes sense. Their home turf. All right, Jay Gray from Paris, thanks so much. And sticking with the Paris Olympics now, and athletes who were due to compete in the Seine River will have to wait after a race was postponed due to concerns over water quality. Both the men's and women's triathlon competitions are now scheduled for Wednesday. Now, this comes after Paris spent more than $1 billion to clean up that river ahead of the Summer Games. Even the Paris mayor taking a swim in the river to show that it was clean enough before the opening ceremony. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons joins us now from the Seine River banks in Paris with more on this. Kira, good morning. So how did organizers come to that decision to finally move the men's event to Wednesday? And is it expected, could it be pushed back even further?
Well, it could be, Stephen. Let me just tell you where we are. As you say, we're beside the Seine River. That's the Alexander III Bridge, world famous there, of course. The Grand Palais behind us with the glass roof, historic building. And you can see in front of it those empty bleachers. This is the stretch of river where the men's triathlon swimming event was supposed to take place today. It didn't because of those tests overnight, as you mentioned, that found that there was too high a level of bacteria in the water after all that rain that we saw at the opening ceremony. Let me just read you a little statement here that they sent us this morning. Despite the improvement on the water quality on the water quality levels in the last hours, the readings at some points of the swim course are above acceptable levels. Paris 2024 and World Triathlon reiterate that their priority is the safety of athletes. So they couldn't do it today, but they are still hoping to do it tomorrow, maybe another day.
It'll be sight to see once they're actually in that water, if they do get to do it there in a river. Kira, we also know you spoke to athletes about the triathlon and about it being pushed back. How are they responding to this uncertainty about the race?
Yeah, we spoke to Christine Casper, one of the members of the Women's Team USA triathlon team. It's interesting. I mean, she says that she's kind of zen about it, if you like, that she is prepared to race when she can race, and actually talks about that the swimming in a river like this is about navigating the currents and the waters. It's part of the sport. You can't just go to a swimming pool, and so inevitably, wherever they're racing, there are times when they can't race on a particular day because it simply isn't safe enough or there are issues. That's kind of part of it. So it seems like, in a sense, if you like, this is part and parcel of what it is to be a triathlete. I didn't know that, Stephen. It's a little bit like kind of playing chess in the water. You just don't swim in a straight line. That's not the fastest way. You have to kind of move around the water to find your way in the best way possible. It's part of the fun.
Yeah, fascinating. It'll be fun to see. And Kira, I understand you were able to take a dip in the Seine River. How clean did it feel? It certainly looks beautiful behind you, but what was that like?
Yeah, I don't know whether or not you can feel how clean it is. I mean, I didn't jump in here. I have to tell you what, it's hot. I would, honestly, but we're not allowed to. So we found the one place where you are allowed to swim in Paris right now, took a dip. I feel fine. It was yesterday. You know, I haven't needed any antibiotics, so far so good.
Okay, good to hear. We'll keep up to date, checking in on that antibiotic case, just in case you do end up needing them. All right, Kira, thanks so much. All right, now to the unrest that's happening in Venezuela. There are some major protests that are rocking the country right now after President Maduro claimed victory in Sunday's disputed presidential election. Maduro's opposition rival had also claimed victory. Police ended up using rubber bullets and tear gas to try to disperse the demonstrators there. NBC's David Noriega has more on the political turmoil, which is still unfolding.
Outrage across Venezuela after President Nicolás Maduro claims victory in his third straight election. The National Electoral Council announcing Maduro secured 51% of the vote, compared to opposition candidate Edmundo González with 44%. But González and the opposition also claiming victory, saying they received 70% of the vote. Maduro's government so far refusing to release the detailed official results needed to back up its claim of victory. In a statement released Monday, Maduro claiming someone hacked the National Electoral Council's data transmission system. Reporter Ana Vanessa Herrera is in Caracas, where protesters have started taking to the streets.
Where we're looking at the people, without anyone telling them to get to the streets, they are now on the streets. At least right now, we don't know if that it's gonna get worse, it's gonna get bigger, but so far, the people are just showing that there is no celebration.
Several countries, including the U.S., also casting doubt on the election outcome and urging officials to release a detailed tabulation of votes.
We have serious concerns that the result announced does not reflect the will or the votes of the Venezuelan people.
According to the UN, more than 7 million people have left Venezuela since Maduro took office. about 20% of the country's population. Many saying now they won't go home.
Esto no es justo. Yo quería a Venezuela libre. Esta era la última esperanza. Y nos las arrebataron porque Maduro es un perro y no quiere soltar el mandato.
Maduro first took power in 2013, following the death of popular socialist leader Hugo Chavez. Venezuela suffered economic catastrophe under Maduro's rule, including hyperinflation. He's also received harsh criticism for his increasingly autocratic rule, facing accusations of taking political prisoners and not allowing free elections.
Yo me había ido del país 2 años y regresé con la esperanza de que esto algún día mejor, pero bueno, a pensar otra vez, quizás volver a irse. ¿Qué vamos a hacer? Aquí no se puede estar, esto es una dictadura. Quedó claro el día de ayer.
Venezuela's opposition and the U.S. also saying his last election in 2018 was illegitimate. For now, Venezuela heading into a period of profound uncertainty as calls for the government to release the full results grow louder and unrest among its citizens grows larger.
And our thanks to David Noriega for that report. Well, still to come this morning, could a major phone company be held liable for actions of its employees? After the break, we'll dig into some troubling recent lawsuits from several women alleging workers stole intimate images from their devices. We'll bring you the latest on that coming up on Morning News Now. Welcome back. Several women have been suing major phone companies to hold them responsible for the actions of their employees. The latest lawsuit was filed in California yesterday, where a woman says an AT&T employee stole naked images from her phone during an in-store data transfer. And she is not the only one. A similar lawsuit involving a T-Mobile employee was brought in Washington. The judge in that case made a ruling back in April, allowing the case to continue after deciding T-Mobile could be held liable for its employees' actions. AT&T did not immediately respond to a request to comment, and T-Mobile declined to comment. Joining me now to break this down is NBC News legal analyst Danny Cevallos. So, Danny, how have companies been able to avoid being held accountable for this in the past, and could this affect future cases?
T-Mobile and the phone companies are arguing that, well, we didn't know what this employee was doing. It was not something we wanted the employee to do. So therefore, we shouldn't be held responsible for our rogue employees and what they do in the store, even if they have access to these phones. There's a concept in the law called vicarious liability, and it goes like this. Generally speaking, an employer is not responsible for the things an employee does that have nothing to do with the job. But if the employee commits some wrong in the course and scope of their employment, then we do hold employers vicariously liable. In other words, even though the employer itself may not have intended the wrong, since the employee was acting in the course and scope of employment, they can be held liable. And that's what happened in April. A judge looked at the Violence Against Women Act, which was one of the grounds brought against that phone company, and said, look, the statute itself says nothing about vicarious liability. And when that happens, that doesn't rule it out. So it's possible. And at that stage, it doesn't mean that the plaintiffs win. In the motion to dismiss phase, it just means that the case is allowed to move forward and that it is a viable claim. Doesn't mean one side wins or doesn't.
Still uncertainty for how it'll turn out. But I know this is not the only time this has happened. Civil lawsuits and police reports say AT&T has faced 6 other accusations of similar wrongdoing, and it's also happened more than a dozen accusations against Verizon and T-Mobile. So does this history of these claims, does that strengthen this California case?
Here's the thing. The key here is going to be how a court will decide whether what these employees did is actually in the course and scope of employment. See, the phone companies have an argument, and it's a reasonable argument, that, hey, we allow people to access private data in order to turn in their phones and get new phones. And what we train them to do never involves going on their Snapchat, for example, and downloading nude images and distributing them. That's not part of our business model. But of course, the plaintiff's response to that is, yes, it may not be part of your business model, but they only have access to those phones because of their job. And their job requires us to trust them with our data. It's a scary concept because we all go in and trade in phones, and we trust that those people at the store are not going through them and taking our data and nude photos in this example. And so it's a scary thing for people who are going in. And I think the courts might lean towards holding these companies liable, if for no other reason than not to destroy the trust that people have. I mean, who's going to go turn in their phone? We're all going to be sitting around with phones from the year 2000 if we're afraid of going to turn them in for new phones.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have it on their minds as they go back into those stores. Danny Savalas, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, if you can believe it, today marks 25 years since the Blair Witch Project hit theaters, and it raked in at nearly $250 million at the box office. But now, with rumblings of a reboot, the original cast wants what they say they're owed. We'll chat with one of those stars, Michael C. Williams, on that Hollywood feud and the film's iconic legacy. First, though, after the break, a quarterly sales slump at McDonald's, shocking the fast food system. This morning, hungry customers, no doubt, fed up with the surging cost. But will this lead to lower prices at the drive-thru? Our Brian Chung is outside of a Queens McDonald's for us this morning. He'll give us all those juicy details, hopefully bring us back an Egg McMuffin as well. Brian, we'll see you in a second. We're back now with the latest on the fast food wars. This morning, McDonald's is reporting a drop in sales for the first time in years. The surprise announcement from the Golden Arches hints at growing frustration among Americans with inflation driving prices up. NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung joins us now with those details outside of a McDonald's. Brian, what more can you tell us?
Hey, Stephen. Well, if you've noticed the price tag on these things increasing, well, you're not the only one. Customers have been balking at higher prices, which is one reason why McDonald's reported a worse than expected second quarter performance. But they're not the only ones seeing consumers balking at those high prices. But what might be bad bottom line for the boardroom could translate into more savings for nearly everyone else.
This morning, McDonald's noting that customers are not loving those high prices.
$17 for 3 Filet-O-Fishes at McDonald's? Are you kidding me?
The company saying sales fell 1% last quarter compared to the year before. The first time same-store sales have fallen globally since 2020, with fewer customers seeking out the Golden Arches for their fast food fix.
So what are consumers doing instead if they're not going to McDonald's?
You know, with fast food prices in particular going up, consumers are watching that and they're saying, all right, I'm just not going to visit as often as they used to.
McDonald's execs telling shareholders the company needs to lure back low-income consumers frustrated by high menu prices.
We expect customers will continue to feel the pinch of the economy and a higher cost of living for at least the next several quarters in this very competitive landscape.
What happened to the dollar cheeseburgers?
After hearing customer complaints earlier in the summer, McDonald's jumped into the fast food wars, announcing a $5 value meal, including a cheeseburger, fries, McNuggets, and a drink. Today has learned the company plans to extend the popular program through August. Erlinger telling Savannah last month that they're trying to respond to customers.
Did consumers essentially force your hand by being fed up?
Customers are telling us that they're really stretched. And so this is a great opportunity for McDonald's to bring them value.
McDonald's feeling the heat from competitors as well. Sonic, Burger King, and Wendy's all offering their own deals. After customer traffic at U.S. fast food restaurants fell 2% in the first half of the year compared to the same period a year ago.
They'll definitely do more discounts the rest of the year. I don't think there's any question that we are in for a prolonged value war in the U.S. restaurant business, particularly with the big fast food chains.
And we did reach out to McDonald's. They didn't have anything else to add beyond what they already told investors on that earnings call. But they did say that they've had a positive reaction to that $5 meal deal so far. And again, they have announced in most locations that that'll be extended through August. So even though the days of those dollar menus might be gone, you can probably still score a deal at least through the end of summer, Stephen.
All right, something to watch out for. Brian Chung, thanks so much. Well, today marks 25 years since one of the most iconic horror films in history was released in theaters worldwide. The Blair Witch Project is credited for driving a major shift in the production of horror films. The movie broke records for being the highest-grossing indie film after its 1999 release, raking in more than $250 million against an estimated $500,000 budget. Now, Lionsgate wants to reboot the franchise with new actors in honor of that 25th anniversary of the fake found footage classic. But the original cast saying not so fast. They want the production company to pay retroactive residuals for their roles in the film and franchise. Allegedly, they say they were paid next to nothing for their work and have not been consulted about any of these future projects, despite being featured in some of the promotions. We reached out to Lionsgate for comment on this, but have not yet heard back. Michael C. Williams, one of the original stars of the Blair Witch Project, who played a fictionalized version of himself, joins me now. Michael, good to see you. Thanks for being with us this morning. I was probably way too young when I saw the Blair Witch Project, so I didn't find out until years later you were playing a fictionalized version of yourself. So glad you're okay from that terrifying ending there. Won't spoil it for anybody. But would you mind sharing with us just how much you were paid 25 years ago and walk us through what you and your other co-stars are asking for?
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you. Yes, I will let you know that over the course of 4 or 5 years, we were paid about $300,000 for our role in the first film. It was a non-union film, which, was part of the issue. And this day and age, they have contracts for small independent films that they didn't have through SAG back then. The movie reportedly made about $372 million. And to be honest, if there were no quote-unquote franchise happening after the first film, we probably wouldn't really take issue with it. The problem is they continue to use our name and faces on marketing for the film. The press releases that just came out for the new film, we find out about it the day the public finds out about it, with our faces all over the media. And it's happened time and time again over the years. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We are faced with being part of a conglomerate that we never sort of signed on for. And I know that, that's, I guess, part of doing business. We just wish they had done business a little bit better than they had back in 1999.
Wow, I know there have been a couple of sequels already that have been released. Has Lionsgate, have they made any contact with you over the years?
We haven't had any contact with Lionsgate, certainly since our asks that we went public with back in April, May.
And I know apart from what you're asking for from Lionsgate, there's also the Blair Witch grant, which would give $60,000 to an aspiring filmmaker to try to produce their first project. How did that idea come about, and why is it so important to you and your two co-stars?
I appreciate you asking about the grant. That's one of the more important items for us. It's because, we want to encourage and support young artists, and we think studios could do a better job of supporting young artists without any skin in the game. In other words, a grant would mean $60,000 annually to young artists that are trying to make a film, where Lionsgate would see no back end of that film, just a generous gesture from a company that's made, millions upon millions, if not billions of dollars. And it would encourage young artists to be creatives and place some value on unknowns.
Well, I'm curious, as we said, it's been 25 years since the debut of the Blair Witch Project. So when you look back on it now, what do you think about it? And what advice would you give to some young filmmakers, some young actors who are just getting to start in their careers?
Well, I want you to know that I'm certainly grateful to have been a part of it. I know it was a blessing overall. And two things can be true. One is that you can be grateful for something, and two is that you can look back at it and say, hey, it didn't really go the way that maybe it should have had we done business a little bit. And that's on our part and their part, I would argue. So for the last 25 years, I was an actor for about 15 years. And in my mid-30s, I went back to school and I became a school counselor. So I work with kids, middle school kids in particular. I also have a studio, MCW acting studio, where I teach acting and improv to kids, high school, middle school, elementary school. My wife and I actually direct our plays at our local high school that we actually met at. So we're, always constantly giving back. And, recently, over the last couple of years, I started writing a book about my experiences with the Blair Witch Project. So I'm about 60 pages into that. So I'm still doing the creative things. I'm still acting. I have a couple of independent films in the hopper. One's going to play at Fright Fest coming this fall. So I still have my SAG card. I wish I had my SAG card in 1999, but that wasn't a reality then. But yeah, so life is good. I have no complaints. I'm very grateful for what I do have, but I feel like we need to advocate for young artists and young actors who may find themselves in this kind of situation.
So glad to hear you're doing well. It sounds like that book will be a fascinating read. Michael C. Williams, thanks so much for sharing all this with us this morning.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate having me on.
Certainly. Well, coming up, we are heading back to Paris with our continuing coverage of the Summer Games. After the break, a one-on-one conversation with Team USA's newest hype man for the women's water polo team, the one and only Flava Flav. Plus, we'll chat with the swimming superstar Emma Weyand, fresh off her bronze medal win in the women's 400-meter individual medley. She joins us live next. Stay with us. Welcome back. It was a 2-3 finish for Team USA in the women's 400-meter individual medley. Katie Grimes and Emma Weyand took home the silver and bronze medals in yesterday's final. And this morning, we're lucky enough to be joined by the bronze medalist herself, Emma. Congratulations to you. I can't imagine how exciting that is. Now that you've had some time to process that race, how are you feeling this morning?
Thank you. I'm really excited. I got to see my family a little bit last night and celebrate with them and be around my teammates, and it really just means the world getting back up on the podium.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I'm so glad you're able to be there with your family during all of this. And Emma, going into the last 100 meters, you were neck and neck, really, with British swimmer Freya Colbert. How did you know, or did you know in that moment, how close you guys actually were, and how were you able to just kick it into gear and end up back on the podium?
Yeah, I really just tried to swim my own race, but I was confident in my training that the back half would be there, so I really just had to trust what my coaches put together and put my head down to get to the wall.
I've always wanted to ask a swimmer this. Are you paying attention to your location and who's to either side of you, or are you just focused on going as fast as you can?
I think a little bit of both. In an event like the 4 a.m., there's a lot going on, so staying true to my own race plan is really the key to any success I will have.
Yeah, it sounds like you're locked in on what to do. And I know this isn't your first Olympic medal. You took home the silver in this same event back in the Tokyo Games. How did this experience compare with Tokyo?
I would say the crowd makes this Olympics go to the next level. Just having that atmosphere there, the energy there, just makes it so much more fun. And obviously having Tokyo, going through that experience, it helps me to be a little more prepared here. And I'm just so excited. It's amazing to contribute to Team USA.
And when you look back on Tokyo and that experience, I'm wondering, what's the difference like being in Paris? Is the crowd different? How is the vibe?
Yeah, in Tokyo, we only had our teammates in the stands, which was awesome. They did what they could, but having family members and just the French home crowd, it's so loud in there, and it's so much fun to walk out.
Yeah, it really seems like the French are really screaming for everybody in those stands. And I mentioned earlier, your fellow Team USA swimmer, Katie Grimes, won the silver medal. So just how special is that to end up on the podium with your teammate right next to you?
Yeah, it was so special. Katie started getting emotional on the podium, so then I started getting emotional. And there's so much history in this event for Team USA women, so adding to that medal count, it really means the world.
So have you and Katie made plans yet? How are you going to celebrate when you get home?
Katie's got a few more events left and some open water, but I think at the end of this meet, we'll all celebrate together and go back to our way to the U.S.
Yeah, I bet that's going to be pretty exciting. And I know you've now competed, as we mentioned, Paris, Tokyo. Any plans for L.A. coming up in 4 years?
Yeah, you never know. I'll do my 5th year at Florida at home and then go from there. But I'm always super grateful to represent Team USA, and I would love to again in the future.
Incredible on that podium twice. Emma Weyand, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, you may know him as the co-founder of the iconic hip-hop group Public Enemy, or maybe from one of his many reality shows, Flavor of Love being among them. But these days, Flava Flav is making waves at the Paris Olympics. And NBC News Now anchor Tom Yamas reports he's doing so with a very special new title.
Flavor Flav, what more can I say? The only thing that I can say is USA, USA.
Legendary rapper Flavor Flav taking his talents to Paris.
USA on 3. 1, 2, 3.
USA! As the official hype man for Team USA's women's water polo team. And while he's here, we had a chance to meet up with him.
Hey, Flav, you need a ride?
What's up, my man? Sure I do. How you doing, Tom?
Good, good. Talk to me about the clocks. You got a couple things going here. What do we got?
Okay, well, this is my special, one of my special water polo clocks.
Is it waterproof?
Yes, it's waterproof. but it's also a shower clock.
How did you get involved with water polo?
You know, when these girls are not in the water, they're home working 1, 2, and 3 jobs. And these girls are out here busting their butts, you know what I'm saying, to make United States look good. So I said to myself, this wouldn't be a bad idea to step up and help these girls out.
The rapper signing a 5-year sponsorship deal with the team after he responded to an Instagram post by one of the athletes where she asked for financial help getting the team to the Summer Games.
These girls, man, they got 3 back-to-back gold medals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I know it wasn't easy getting those gold medals because I know what it takes now.
Yeah.
Play water polo. You know what I'm saying? I got to experience it.
You have your Speedo ready?
I don't have a 6-pack. I got a 1-pack.
The team inviting him to one of their final practices at Berkeley.
Are you ready?
Even gifting him his own personalized swim cap.
USA! USA! Boy!
What'd you think?
I had no idea that the water that these people are in is like 7.5 feet deep. Some pools are 15 feet deep.
Yeah.
So they're treading water the whole doggone time.
While trying to catch and throw that ball.
Yeah, they treading water. Let me tell you something. When I jumped in that water, man, and I was treading water for them 7 minutes, it was like the hardest 7 minutes, man, I ever spent in the water in my life. This ain't easy.
Did you even know what water polo was before you got involved with this?
The only way I knew is from what I saw on TV, and that's about it.
How is your Olympic experience going?
Me being over here right now at the Olympics, I mean, this is like a dream to me come true.
I know you got to meet the First Lady. What was that like?
Man, that was crazy. It was unbelievable, but it was one of the most memorable moments that I will take to my grave with me.
What do you want Americans to know about the women's water polo team?
Well, I want them to know, first of all, how hard these girls work, you know what I'm saying? But not only that, but also, not just the women's polo team, but the men's polo team too.
Yeah.
Water polo in general. I want this sport to be more recognized than what it is right now.
Right. How does the team looking here in Paris?
I really feel, and I'm hoping that my girls are going to go undefeated this year.
You feel like the gold is going to be a reality?
Yeah. I feel like that 4th gold medal is coming. It's coming.
You going to get one if they get one?
If they give me one, I mean, you know, that would definitely, you know, be a hell of a gift.
If you had to think of a Public Enemy song that describes the women's water polo team, what song?
Harder Than You Think.
Why?
Because the game that they play is harder than you think.
I'll bet it is. Our thanks to Tom Yamas and Flava Flav for that report. And that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. But your news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.